Are you there, Thomas?
Yes, I've just come in. What is it?
A letter from your brother.
Let's see. The manuscript sent me is returned here
What does he
with
say?
nothing, only that he'll come up himself about midday. I can easily manage that. I finished my morning's work.
I'm very curious to know how he takes it.
Well, he won't be overly pleased that it's I and not he himself that has made this discovery.
Just what I'm afraid of.
But at bottom, he'll be glad. But still, Peter is damnably unwilling for anyone but himself to do anything good for the town.
Do you know, Thomas, I think you might stretch a point and share the honor with him. Couldn't you make out that it was he that put you on the track?
By all means, for all I care, if only I can put things straight.
Is it true?
Father, is that you?
Hello, father-in-law. Good morning. Good
Do come
morning.
in.
Yes, if it's true. If not, I'm off again.
If what is true?
Business about the waterworks. Now, is it true?
Yeah, of course it is. How did you come to hear of it?
Petra looked in on her way to this school.
Oh, did she?
Aye, she told me. I thought she was only making fun of me, but that's not Petra either.
No, indeed. How could you think that?
Oh, you can't be sure of anybody. You can be made a fool of before you know it. So, it is true, after all.
Yes, most certainly. Do sit down, father-in-law. Now, isn't it a blessing for the town?
A blessing for the town.
Yes, that I made the discovery in time.
Yes, but I could never have believed you'd played your very own brother such a trick.
Such a trick?
Dear father,
what was that again? Some animals got into the water pipes.
Yeah, bacterial animals.
And lots of these animals had got in, Petra said, an enormous lot.
Certainly, hundreds of thousands.
And no one can see them, isn't that right?
Exactly, no one can see them.
I'll be damned if that isn't the best thing I've heard from you yet.
What do you mean?
But you'll never in this world make the burgomaster buy anything like it.
Well, we'll see about that.
You think he's that crazy?
I hope the whole town is that crazy.
Oh, the whole town. Well, I don't say, but it may. Serves them right. It'll teach them a lesson. They wanted to be so much cleverer than us old folks. Hounded me out of the town council. Yes, I'll tell you, they hounded me out like a dog, that they did. But now it's their turn. Just you keep up that game with them stockmen.
Yes, but father-in-law.
Keep it up, I say. If you can make the burgomaster and his friends swallow all that, I'll give 100 crowns straight away to the poor.
Well, that's good of you.
Now, of course, enough money to throw away, but if you can manage that, I'll surely give the poor 50 crowns at Christmas.
Good morning. Oh, I beg your pardon.
Oh, no, not at all. Come in.
He's in it too.
What do you mean?
Yes, of course he's in it.
I might have known it. It's to go in the papers. Ah, you're the one, Stockman. Think what I've been saying now. I'm off.
No, stay a little, father-in-law.
No, I'm off. Play them all the tricks you can. You won't lose by it, I'll be sworn.
The old guy doesn't believe a word of this about the waterworks. That was what we were talking about. You've come on the same business?
Yes. Have you a minute or two, Doctor?
Oh, you like, my dear fellow.
Have you heard anything from the burgomaster?
Not yet. He'll be here shortly.
Look, to you as a doctor and a man of science, this business of the waterworks is an isolated affair. Well, you said yesterday that the water is polluted by impurities in the soil.
Yes, undoubtedly the mischief comes from that poisonous swamp up in the Milldale.
Excuse me, doctor, but I think it comes from quite another swamp.
What swamp might that be?
The swamp in which our whole municipal life is rotting.
The devil, Mr. Officer. What notion
Excuse me,
is this?
Doctor, but look, the affairs of the town have gradually drifted into the hands of a pack of bureaucrats.
Well, they're not all bureaucrats.
No, but those that aren't are friends or adherents to those that are. We're governed by a ring of wealthy people. Mostly men, people of old family and position in the town.
Yes, but also of insight and ability.
Well, did they show insight and ability when they laid the water pipes where they are?
No, that was a piece of stupidity, of course, but that'll be set right now.
Yeah, do you think that will go smoothly?
Well, smoothly or not, it'll have to be done.
Yes, if the press exerts its influence.
No, that's not at all necessary, my dear fellow. I'm
Excuse
sure
me,
my
doctor, but I must tell you, I think of taking the matter up.
in the paper.
Yes. When I took over the People's Messenger, I was determined to break up this ring of obstinate old blockheads who hold everything in their hands.
But you told me yourself what came of it before. You nearly ruined the paper.
Yes, we had to draw on our horns then. True enough. The whole bad scheme might have fallen through if these men had been set about their business, but now the baths are an accomplished fact, and we can get along fine without these august personages.
Get on without them, yes, but still, we owe them a great deal.
A debt to be amply acknowledged. But a journalist of my democratic tendencies can't let an opportunity slip through his fingers. We must explode this tradition of official infallibility. That idiocy must be gotten rid of, like any superstition.
Oh, I'm with you with all my heart, Mr. Hofstad. If it's superstition, then away with it.
I would be sorry to attack the burgomaster as he's your brother, but I know you think with me the truth before any other consideration.
Of course, but then
You
but,
mustn't think ill of me. I'm no more self-interested or ambitious than others.
dear fellow, who says you are?
I come from humble folks, and I've had occasion to see what the lower classes really require. And that is to have a share in public affairs, doctor. That's what builds ability and knowledge and self-respect.
I understand that perfectly.
Yes, and look, I think a journalist incurs a heavy responsibility when he neglects an opportunity to help emancipate the downtrodden masses. I know well enough that our oligarchy will denounce me as an agitator and all that, but what do I care if my conscience is clear?
My dear Mr. Hofstad, but still, I mean, for heaven's sakes. Come in.
I beg pardon, doctor, for making so bold.
Hello, if it isn't Mr. Aslaxon.
Yes, it's me, doctor.
Do you want me as Laxon?
No, not at all. I didn't know you were here. No, it's the doctor himself that I've
Well,
come to.
what can I do for you?
Is it true what Mr. Billings says, that you're going to get us a better set of waterworks?
Yes, for the baths.
Of course, of course. Then I just looked in to say that I'll back up that movement with all my might.
You see?
Well, I'm sure I thank you heartily. But
It'll do you no harm to have us middle-class men at your back. We now form what you might call an independent majority in the town, when we want to, that is. And it's always best to have the majority with you, doctor.
no doubt, no doubt. But I can't imagine that any special measure will be necessary. I think in such a clear, straightforward manner.
Yes, but all the same, it can do no harm. I know the local authorities well. The powers that be aren't overly ready to adopt suggestions from outsiders. So I think it wouldn't be amiss if we made some sort of demonstration.
I think so too.
Demonstration? How do you mean a demonstration?
Of course, with great moderation, doctor. Always in favor of moderation. A citizen's first virtue. At least that's my way of thinking.
We all know that, Mr. Aslaxon.
Yes, and this affair of the waterworks is very important for us small middle-class men. The baths bid fair to become a little gold mine for the town. We'll all come to live by the baths, especially we householders. We want to support the baths all we can. And as I am chairman of the Householders Association,
Well,
and as I'm an active worker for the Temperance Society, of course, you know, doctor, that I'm a temperance man.
to be sure, to be sure.
Well, I come into contact with a great many people, you understand. And as a prudent and law-abiding citizen, I have a certain influence in the town and hold some power in my hands, though I say it that shouldn't.
I know that very well, Mr. Aslaxon.
Well, you see, it would be very easy for me to get up an address if it came to a pinch.
An address?
Yes, a kind of vote of thanks to you from the citizens of the town for your action in a matter of such general concern. Of course, it will have to be drawn up with befitting moderation so as to give no offense to the authorities and persons of position, but But so long as we're careful about that, I
Well,
really
even
don't
if
think
they
that
didn't particularly like it.
No, no, no. No offense to the powers that be, Mr. Hofstad. No opposition to people who can take it out of us again so easily. I've had enough of that in my time. No good ever comes of it. But no one can object to the free, but temperate, expression of a citizen's opinion.
I can't tell you, my dear Mr. Aslaxon, how heartily it delights me to find so much support among my fellow townsmen. I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
And now I'll be off around the town and talk to some of the householders and prepare public opinion.
Well, that's extremely kind of you, Mr. Aslaxon, but I really can't think that all these preparations are necessary. I mean, it seems to me the affair is simple as possible.
Oh, the authorities always move slowly, Doctor.
Yeah, we'll stir them up in the paper tomorrow, Aslaxon.
No violence, Mr. Hofstad. Proceed with moderation, or you'll do nothing with them. And now I'll say good morning, Doctor. You know, at least you have us middle-class men behind you, solid as a wall. You have the independent majority, Doctor.
Many thanks, Mr. Aslaxon. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Coming to the office, Mr. Hofstad?
And presently, I have something to settle first.
All right.
Well, what do you say to that, Doctor? Don't you think it's high time we should strike a blow at all this weak-kneed trimming and cowardice?
Are you talking about Aslaxon?
Yes, I am. He's a decent fellow, but he's also one that's sunk in the swamp. Most people here are just like him, forever seesawing side to side with their scruples, misgivings. They never advance a step.
Yes, but Aslaxon seems fully well-intentioned.
Well, there's one thing I value more than good intentions. That's an attitude of courage, of self-reliance.
Well, there I'm with you.
So I'm going to seize this opportunity and see whether I can't for once put a little grit in their good intentions. The worship of authority must be rooted out in this town. This massive, inexcusable blunder at the waterworks should be enough to open the eyes of every voter.
All right, then. If you think it's for the good of the town, then so be it. But not until I've spoken to my brother.
Well, in the meantime, I'll be writing my leader. Well, and if the burgomaster won't take it up,
Well, how can you imagine his refusing?
that's not inconceivable. And then,
Well, then I promise you, I mean, look here, then you may print my paper just as it is.
may I? Is that a promise?
Well, there it is. Take it with you. You may as well read it in any case. You can return it to me after.
Very good. All right, I'll do just that. And now, goodbye, Doctor.
Goodbye. Goodbye. You'll see it all go without a hitch, Mr. Hofstad. Smooth as silk.
Yeah, we'll see.
Katrine? Hello? Are you back, Petra?
Yes, just got back from school.
Hasn't he come yet?
Peter, no, I just had a long talk with Hofstad. He's enthusiastic about my discovery. It's of wider significance than I first thought. So he's placed his paper at my disposal if I should require it.
Do you think you will?
No. But I mean, at the same time, one's proud to know the enlightened, the independent press is on one side. And what do you think? I had a visit from the chairman of the Householders Association too,
Really? What did he want?
to assure me of his support. They'll stand by me in a pinch. Oh, and Katrine, do you know what I have behind me?
Behind you? No. What have you behind you?
The independent majority.
Oh, is that good for you, Thomas?
Oh, yeah, indeed. I mean, I should think it's good. Gracious sakes, what a delight it is to feel oneself in such brotherly concord with one's fellow townsfolk.
And to do so much that's good and useful, Father.
And all for one's native town, too.
Well, there's the bell.
That must be he. I'm glad to see you, Peter.
Good morning, brother-in-law. How are you?
Oh, thanks. So. Yesterday evening, after office hours, I received from you a dissertation upon the water at the baths.
Yes. Have you read it?
I have.
And what do you think of the affair?
Competra.
Was it necessary to make all these investigations behind my back?
Yes, until I was absolutely certain.
So you're certain now?
You found no uncertainty in my statement of the case, did you?
Is it your intention to submit this statement to the board of directors as a sort of official document?
Of course, something must be done in the matter, and that promptly.
As usual, you use very strong expressions in your statement. Amongst other things, you say, what we offer our visitors is a slow poison.
Peter, can you call it anything else? I mean, think poisoned water both internally and externally, and that to poor invalids who come to us in all confidence and pay us liberally to cure them.
And then you announce as your conclusion that we must build a sewer to carry off all the alleged impurities from the Milldale and relay all the water pipes.
Yes. Can you suggest any alternative? Because I know of none.
I made an excuse for looking in at the town engineer's office this morning, and in a half-jesting way, I mentioned these alterations as things we might possibly have to consider at some future time.
Some future time.
Of course, he laughed at what he thought my extravagance. Have you taken the trouble to think what your proposed alterations would cost? From what the engineer said, I gathered that the expenses would probably mount up to several 100,000 crowns.
So much as that?
Yes, but that's not the worst. The work would take at least 2 years.
2 years? You mean to say 2 whole years?
At least. And what are we to do with the baths in the meantime? Are we to close them? Well, of course we'd have to. Do you think anyone would come here if it got abroad that the water was pestilential?
Peter, that's just what it is.
And all of this now, just now, when the baths are doing so well. Neighboring towns, too, are not without their claims to run as health resorts. Do you think they wouldn't at once set to work to divert the full stream of visitors to themselves? Undoubtedly, they would. And we should be left stranded. We'd probably have to give up the whole costly undertaking, so you would have ruined your native town.
I ruined?
It's only through the baths that the town has any future worth speaking of. You surely know that as well as I do.
What do you think should be done?
I have not succeeded in convincing myself that the condition of the water at the baths is as serious as your statement represents.
Oh, well, I tell you, it's, if anything, worse, or will be in the summer when the hot weather sets in.
I repeat, I believe you exaggerate greatly. A competent physician should know what measures to take in order to obviate injurious influences and to counteract them in case they should make themselves unmistakably felt.
Indeed. And then?
The existing waterworks are, after all, a fact, and must naturally be treated as such. But when the time comes, the directors will probably not be indisposed to consider whether it may not be possible, without unreasonable financial sacrifices, to introduce certain improvements.
Do you imagine I could ever be a party to such dishonesty?
Dishonesty.
Yes, it would be dishonesty, a fraud, a lie, an absolute crime against the public, against society as a whole.
I have not, as I remarked before, been able to convince myself that there really is any such imminent danger.
You must have. My demonstration is absolutely clear and convincing. And you know that perfectly, Peter. Only you won't admit it. It was you who insisted that both the bath buildings and the waterworks should be placed where they are now. And it's that damnable blunder that you won't confess to. Do you think I don't see through you?
And even if it were so, if I do watch over my reputation with a certain anxious care, I do it for the good of the town. Without moral authority, I cannot guide and direct affairs in the way I consider most conducive to the general welfare. Therefore, and on various other grounds, it is of great moment to me that your statement should not be submitted to the board of directors. It must be kept back for the good of the community. Later on, I will bring up the matter for discussion, and we'll do the best we can, quietly. But not a word, not a whisper of this unfortunate business must come to the public ear.
It can't be prevented now, my dear Peter.
It must and shall be prevented.
It can't be. I tell you, far too many people know about it already.
Know about it? Who? Surely not those fellows at the People's Messenger.
Yes, they know. The progressive independent press will take good care you do your duty.
You're an amazingly reckless man, Thomas. Haven't you reflected on what the consequences of this may be to yourself?
Consequences? What consequences to me?
Yes, to you and yours.
What the devil do you mean?
I believe I've always shown myself ready and willing to lend you a helping hand.
Yes, you have. I thank you for it.
I ask for no thanks. I was in some measure forced to act as I did for my own sake. I always hoped I should be able to keep you within certain bounds if I helped you financially.
What? So it was only for your own sake?
In a measure, I say. It's painful for a man in an official position when his nearest relative goes and compromises himself time after time.
You think I'd do that?
Yes, unfortunately you do, unknowingly. Yours is a turbulent, pugnacious, a rebellious spirit. And then you have the unhappy propensity for rushing into print upon every possible and impossible occasion. You no sooner hit upon an idea that you must write a newspaper article or a whole pamphlet about it.
Isn't it a citizen's duty when he has conceived a new idea to communicate it to the public?
The public doesn't need new ideas. The public gets on best with the good old recognized ideas it has already.
You say that outright?
Yes. I must speak frankly to you for once. Hitherto, I've tried to avoid it. I know how irritable you are. But now I'm bound to tell you the truth, Thomas. You've no conception how you injure yourself by your rashness. Well, you complain of the authorities, aye, of the government itself. You cry them down and maintain you've been slighted, persecuted. But what else can you expect with your impossible disposition?
Oh, indeed. So I'm impossible, am I?
Yes, Thomas, you're an impossible man to work with. I know that from experience. You have no consideration. You seem quite to forget that you have me to thank for your position as medical officer of the baths.
It was mine by right. Mine. No one else's. I was the first to discover the town's capabilities as a watering place. I saw them. And at that time, I alone, for years, I fought single-handed for this idea of mine. I wrote and wrote.
No doubt. But then the right time hadn't come. Of course, in that out-of-the-world corner, you couldn't judge of that. As soon as the propitious moment came, I and others took the matter in hand.
Yes. And you bungled the whole of my glorious plan. And we see now what a clever crew you were.
All I can see is that you're again seeking an outlet for your belligerence. You want to make an onslaught of your superiors, an old habit of yours. You can't endure any authority over you. You look askance at anyone who has a higher post than your own. You regard him as a personal enemy. And then it's all one to you what kind of weapon you use against him. Oh, but now I've shown you how much is at stake for the town and consequently for me too. And therefore I have warned you, Thomas, that I'm inexorable in the demand I am to make of you.
What demand?
As you haven't had the sense to refrain from chattering to outsiders about this delicate business, which should have been kept an official secret, of course now it can't be hushed up. All sorts of rumors will get abroad, and evil-disposed persons will invent all sorts of additions to them. It will therefore be necessary for you, publicly, to contradict these rumors.
How? I don't understand you.
We expect that after further investigation, you will come to the conclusion that the affair is not so nearly serious or pressing as you first imagined.
So you expect that?
Furthermore, we expect you to express your confidence that the board of directors will thoroughly and conscientiously carry out all measures for the removal of any possible drawback.
Yeah, you'll never be able to do that so long as you go on tinkering and patching. I tell you that, Peter. It's my deepest, sincerest conviction.
As an official, you have no right to any individual conviction.
No right?
As an official, I say. In your private capacity, of course, it's another matter, but as a subordinate official of the baths, you've no right to express any conviction at issue with that of your superiors.
This is too much. I, a doctor, a man of science, have no right?
The matter in question is not purely a scientific one. It's a complex matter. It has a both technical and economic
Oh,
side.
what's that to me? What the devil do I care? I will be free to speak my mind on any subject on earth.
As you please, as long as it doesn't concern the baths. With them, we forbid you to meddle.
You, a set?
I forbid it. I, your chief. And you must obey my prohibition.
Upon my word, Peter, if you weren't my brother.
Father, you shan't submit to this.
Petra, Petra.
Oh, we've been listening.
The partition's so thin, we couldn't help
I
but...
stood and listened on purpose.
Well, on the whole, I'm not sorry.
You spoke to me of forbidding and obeying.
You forced me to adopt that tone.
And I am now to give myself the lie in a public declaration.
Well, we consider it absolutely necessary that you should issue a statement in the terms indicated.
And if I don't obey?
Then we shall ourselves put forth a statement to reassure the public.
That's well and good. Then I'll write against you. I shall stick to my point and prove that I am right and you are wrong. And what will you do then?
Then I shall be unable to prevent your dismissal.
What?
Father,
Dismissal?
Yes, your dismissal from the baths. I shall be obliged to move that notice be given you at once, and that you will henceforth have no connection whatsoever with the baths.
You would dare do that?
It is you who are playing the daring game.
Uncle, this is scandalous conduct towards a man like my father.
Do be quiet, Petra.
We have opinions of our own already, huh? Of course. Sister-in-law, you are apparently the only sensible person in the house. Use all your influence with your husband. Try to make him realize what all this will involve, both for his family.
My family concerns myself alone.
Both for his family, I say, and the town he lives in.
It is I that have the real good of the town at heart. I want to lay bare the evils that sooner or later must come to light. You'll see how I love my native town.
You, who in your blind obstinacy want to cut off the town's chief source of prosperity.
The source is poisoned, man. Are you mad? We live by trafficking in filth and corruption. The whole of our flourishing social life is rooted in a lie.
Idle fancies, or worse. A man who makes such offensive insinuations against his native place becomes an enemy of society.
You dare?
Thomas!
Keep calm, Father.
I won't expose myself to violence. You are warned now. Reflect on what is due to yourself and your family. Goodbye.
And I must put up with such treatment in my own house, Katrine. What do you say to that?
Indeed, it's a shame and a disgrace, Thomas.
Oh, I'd like to give Uncle a piece of
No,
my
it's-
mind.
It's my own fault. I ought to have bridled against them long ago, shown my teeth, made them feel the bite. An enemy of society. Me? I won't bear it, by heaven, I won't.
But my dear Thomas, after all, your brother has the power.
Yes, but I have the right.
Oh, yes, right. What good is having the right when you haven't the might?
Oh, Mother, how can you talk so?
What? No good in a free society to have the right on your side? Oh, I like that, Katrine. Besides, haven't I the free press with me and the independent majority at my back? That's might enough, I should think.
Good heavens, Thomas. You're surely not thinking of getting
What am I not thinking of?
of setting yourself up against your brother.
What the devil would you have me do if not stick to what's right and true?
Yes, that's what I would like to know.
But it'll be of no earthly use. If they won't, they won't.
Oh, no, Katrine. You just wait a while. You'll see. I can fight my own battles.
Yes, you'll fight till you get your dismissal.
Well, then I shall at any rate have done my duty towards the public, towards society. I, who am called an enemy of society.
But towards your family, Thomas, towards us at home, do you think you're doing your duty towards those who are dependent on you?
No, Mother, don't always think first of us.
Yes, it's all very well for you to talk. You can stand on your own if you need be, but think of the children, Thomas, and think a little of yourself too, and of me.
You're surely out of your senses, Katrine. Am I to be such a miserable coward as to knuckle under to Peter and his damnable crew? Should I ever have another contented hour in all my life?
That I don't know. But God preserve us from such happiness as we shall all of us have if you stick to this position. There you would be again, nothing to live on, no regular income. We had enough of that in the old days. Remember them, Thomas. Think of what it all means.
These officious straw men. They can bring all this on a free and honest man. Isn't it disgusting,
Yes,
Katrine?
no doubt they're treating you shamefully, but God knows there's plenty of injustice one must just submit to in this world. Here are the children, Thomas. Look at them. What's become of them? Oh, no, 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 you could never have the heart to...
The children. Never, though the earth should crumble, will I bow my neck beneath the yoke.
Thomas, what are you going to do?
I must have the right to look my children in the face when they've grown into free citizens.
Oh, God, help us all.
Father's in the right.